Just imagine I came to the wedding of my daughter, whom I had given my whole life to, but she coldly said, "Dad, I'm sorry, but you weren't invited. Go away." I quietly left my heart broken by the betrayal, but within 2 hours her perfect wedding turned into a nightmare revenge. No, it was justice. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. The champagne glass slipped from my fingers, crystal shards scattered across marble floors like fallen stars, each piece reflecting the horror on my daughter's face. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Emily's voice cut through the elegant chatter of wedding guests. Her wedding dress, the one I'd spent $12,000 on, rustled as she stepped back. "You weren't supposed to come." I stood frozen in the grand ballroom entrance, still holding the gift box I'd wrapped myself. White roses imported from Ecuador filled every corner, their fragrance mixing with expensive perfume and judgment. The chandelier above cast rainbow patterns on walls that had cost me 3 months of profit to rent. "Sweetheart, it's your wedding day." My voice sounded smaller than I intended. "I wanted to congratulate you both." Michael appeared beside her. His tuxedo perfectly tailored, his smile sharp as winter. "Mr. Clark, I think there's been a misunderstanding." "What misunderstanding?" I looked between them, searching Emily's face for the little girl who used to beg me to push her higher on the swing set. Emily glanced at the guests watching us. Women in designer gowns, whispered behind crystal champagne flutes. Men in thousand suits pretended not to stare while clearly listening to every word. This is a private family celebration," she said, her voice tight with embarrassment. "Immediate family only," the words hit like ice water. 28 years of bedtime stories, school plays and dance recital collapsed into that single sentence. 28 years of choosing her college fund over my own retirement, her happiness over my comfort. "I paid for this wedding, Emily." The words came out steady, factual, every flower, every plate, the dress you're wearing. Michael's jaw tightened. "Money doesn't buy class, sir." "Michael's right," Emily whispered, not meeting my eyes. "This isn't about money, it's about fitting in. You don't understand the kind of people who are here." I understood perfectly. Construction workers who built their houses weren't welcome at their parties. The man who'd sacrificed everything so his daughter could marry into their world had served his purpose. Around us, conversations had stopped entirely. A photographer lowered his camera, the string quartet played on, oblivious to the drama unfolding. In their elegant backdrop, I set the gift box on a nearby table between untouched champagne flutes and white orchids. "I wouldn't want to embarrass you, Dad. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." I studied her face, memorizing features. I'd kissed goodnight for 18 years. Her mother's green eyes, now cold as river stones. The smile I'd worked overtime to put braces on, now turned away from me. "You're right," that I said quietly, "I don't belong here." The walk to the exit stretched like a marathon. Designer heels clicked against marble, whispered conversations resumed behind me. Someone laughed, high and artificial. My work boots, polished for the occasion, felt heavy against the pristine floor. Outside, spring air hit my lungs like freedom. The parking lot stretched before me, filled with luxury cars I'd never afford. My pickup truck sat alone in the far corner, exactly where it belonged in their world. I reached for my phone, fingers steady despite everything. 25 years of building a company from nothing had taught me patience. 25 years of loving an ungrateful daughter had taught me the true value of loyalty. The screen lit up with missed calls from my lawyer about a property dispute. I scrolled past them to find a different number, one I hadn't called in months but suddenly needed. My thumb hovered over the contact name, First National Bank Business Services. Inside that ballroom, my daughter was celebrating her new life without me. Outside, I was about to begin mine without her. The phone rang once before someone answered. Heavy doors sealed behind me with the finality of a vault closing. Wedding music faded to whispers as I crossed asphalt toward my truck, each step more deliberate than the last. The gift box remained on their table, abandoned like everything else I'd given them. March wind carried the scent of approaching rain, darker clouds gathered above the venue's Gothic spires, casting shadows across luxury vehicles that cost more than most people's houses. My boots crunched on gravel as I reached the truck, keys already in hand inside the cab. Silence wrapped around me like armor. Dashboard. Clock showed 3:47 p.m. Enough time before banks closed on Saturday. Enough time to make several important calls. I scrolled through contacts until I found what I needed. First National Bank Business Services appeared on screen. My finger hesitated for exactly 3 seconds before pressing call. First National, this is Patricia speaking. How may I assist you, Patricia? This is James Clark, account number 7794512. I need to initiate stop payments on several authorized transactions. Of course, Mr. Clark, let me pull up your account. Can you verify your social security number and mother's maiden name? Standard procedure. I provided the information while watching guests arrive through the venue's front entrance, women in silk dresses, men adjusting expensive cufflinks, none of them knowing what was about to unfold. Thank you. I see several large transactions from today. Which one specifically? All wedding-related payments, venue rental, catering deposit, floral arrangements, photography, music services, each item rolled off my tongue. Like inventory. Implementation needs to be immediate, sir. These are significant amounts. Are you certain about stopping all payments? Completely certain. There's been a change in circumstances. Keyboard clicks filled the pause. I'll need authorization codes for transactions over $10,000. I recited the codes from memory. 25 years of running a construction business had taught me to remember every important number, every contract detail, every payment authorization. Stop payments are now in effect, confirmation numbers are being generated. Is there anything else that covers the banking side? Thank you, Patricia. Next call went to Spokane's premier catering company, the same company Emily had insisted on, despite their astronomical prices. Elegant Affairs Catering, this is Marcus. Marcus, this is James Clark. I'm calling about the Anderson wedding reception happening right now. Oh yes, Mr. Clark, everything is going beautifully. The guests are raving about the appetizers. I'm afraid there's been a financial complication. Payment authorization has been revoked. You'll want to protect your equipment and remaining food service. Silence stretched between us. Then I'm sorry. What exactly are you saying? The bank has stopped payment on your contract, effective immediately. I suggest you secure your assets, but we're in the middle of service. The main course hasn't even been served. That's unfortunate timing. My voice remained steady, professional. You might want to speak with the wedding party about alternative payment arrangements. Marcus disconnected without another word. Smart man. The florist answered on the second ring. Bellingham Blooms, Susan speaking. Susan. This is James Clark regarding the Anderson wedding flowers. Mr. Clark, the arrangements look stunning. The bride was so pleased with the orchids. There's been a payment issue. Bank authorization has been cancelled. You'll need to collect your arrangements. If you want to salvage any value, collect them, but they're integrated into the entire venue. Design business is business, Susan. I suggest you move quickly. 3 more calls followed, photography services, string quartet, even the linen rental company. Each conversation followed the same pattern, professional courtesy, then growing alarm, then rushed disconnections as vendors scrambled to protect themselves. My phone showed 4:15 p.m. When the last call ended through the windshield, I watched a white catering van pull up to the venue's service entrance, Marcus most likely coming to salvage what he could. Inside that ballroom, Emily was probably still greeting guests blissfully, unaware that her perfect wedding was about to become a very expensive lesson. Michael was likely discussing business with his father's friends, confident in his superiority over simple construction workers. Neither of them understood what they'd truly cost themselves today. I started the engine and pulled out of the parking space. Driving slowly past the venue's front entrance through tall windows, I caught glimpses of the reception in progress. Crystal glasses raised in toasts, elegant figures moving across polished floors, all of it about to change. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. Emily's number appeared on screen. I let it ring. Dashboard clock read 4:20 p.m. When the first truck arrived. Bellingham Blooms painted an elegant script across white paneling, Susan behind the wheel, with two assistants riding shotgun. They parked near the service entrance and unloaded empty containers with businesslike efficiency. Through venue windows I could see the cocktail reception in full swing. Crystal glasses caught chandelier light as guests mingled around Emily's imported orchids. Michael gestured broadly to a circle of men in expensive suits, probably explaining his latest business venture. Neither bride nor groom noticed the florist team entering through side doors. Emily stood near the main entrance, radiant in $12,000 of silk and pearls, accepting congratulations from a steady stream of relatives. Her laugh carried across the ballroom, bright and carefree. The sound would change soon enough. Susan appeared in the ballroom doorway with two large plastic containers. She walked directly toward the main altar arrangement, her assistants flanking the smaller displays. Guests began turning confusion, replacing celebration, as the team started dismantling the centerpiece. Excuse me, Emily approached Susan with the practiced smile of someone accustomed to managing staff. We're in the middle of our reception. Whatever you need can wait until later. Susan straightened, holding a bundle of white orchids. Ma'am, I'm Susan from Bellingham Blooms. Payment authorization for these arrangements was canceled 40 minutes ago. I need to recover our property. Emily's smile flickered but held. That's impossible, everything was paid for weeks ago. The account holder, James Clark, contacted us directly. All payments have been stopped. Susan continued removing flowers with professional detachment. That I have written authorization to collect our arrangements. Color drained from Emily's face around them. Guests had stopped talking entirely. Michael crossed the room in quick strides, his expression shifting from confusion to anger. What exactly is happening here? His voice carried the authority of someone unaccustomed to being questioned. Payment issues, sir. We're collecting unpaid merchandise. Susan's assistant began wrapping the altar arrangement in protective plastic. This is completely unacceptable. Michael's face flushed red. Get your manager on the phone immediately. I am the manager and our contract clearly states that cancelled payments void our service obligations. Susan nodded toward her assistants, who began collecting table centerpieces. While guests watched in stunned silence. Elegant Affairs catering van pulled up outside as Susan's team continued their systematic removal. Marcus emerged with 3 staff members, their faces grim with purpose. They entered through the main doors, this time making no attempt at discretion. Emily watched the orchids disappear into containers. Her perfect composure cracking like fine china. There has to be some mistake. My father wouldn't, he couldn't. Ma'am. We need to cease food service immediately. Marcus approached with clipboard in hand. Payment authorization was revoked at 4:15. We're contractually obligated to protect our equipment and remaining inventory. Michael stepped between Marcus and Emily, his voice rising. This is my wedding reception. You can't just stop service in the middle of an event. Sir, we can and we must. When payment authorization gets cancelled, standard procedure requires immediate asset protection. Marcus signaled his team, who began covering serving stations with white cloths. Guests shuffled nervously, champagne glasses untouched in their hands. Conversations had devolved into worried whispers. Someone's phone rang sharp and intrusive. In the tense atmosphere, the string quartet stopped playing. When their equipment coordinator arrived, microphones went silent, speakers powered down. Even the ambient lighting shifted as the sound technician disconnected his mixing board. Emily stood frozen in the center of her collapsing reception. Wedding dress pristine amid the chaos of disappearing services. This can't be happening, not today, not like this. Emily, what kind of arrangement did your family make? Michael's voice carried new suspicion, his anger redirecting from vendors toward his bride. I don't know, everything was supposed to be handled. Her voice cracked. With the first hint of genuine panic, the venue coordinator appeared. Phone pressed against her ear. Speaking in urgent whispers. She approached Emily with obvious reluctance. "Mrs. Anderson, I've just spoken with our accounting department. All payments for today's event originated from a single account belonging to James Clark. That account holder has revoked authorization for every transaction." Emily's composure shattered completely. The little girl who'd been dismissed from her own celebration was finally understanding the scope of her father's generosity and the consequences of her cruelty. She pulled out her phone with trembling fingers, scrolling to a familiar contact outside in the parking lot. My phone began to ring. My phone buzzed against the dashboard, Emily's name lighting up the screen. Through the windshield, I could see her silhouette in the venue doorway. Phone pressed to her ear with desperate urgency. I didn't answer. Not yet. 25 years of loving that woman had led to this moment. 25 years of believing that sacrifice would build character instead of destroying it. She was 3 when her mother died. Cancer took Sarah in 6 brutal months, leaving me with a toddler who asked for mommy every morning and every night. I could have remarried quickly, found someone to help raise her. Instead, I chose to be everything Emily needed myself. "Daddy, will you read me another story?" she'd asked at age 5, curled against my chest in her pink pajamas. I'd already read 3 books, had an early morning meeting with potential investors. But her green eyes, Sarah's eyes, held such trust. "Of course, sweetheart, Daddy always has time for you." That became my motto. James Clark always had time for Emily and money and whatever she needed to be happy. Private school tuition consumed half my quarterly profits when she turned 8. The best education money can buy. I told myself writing checks. That meant fewer business expansions, smaller personal budgets. Emily hugged me when I told her about Riverside Academy. "Thank you, Daddy. I'll study really hard and make you proud." She did study hard, straight A's through elementary school plays. Where I sat in the front row, my construction calloused hands, applauding louder than any other parent. Emily would find me afterward beaming with accomplishment. "Did you see me remember all my lines, Daddy? I was thinking about you the whole time." High school changed things. Riverside Academy meant wealthy classmates with trust funds and summer homes. Emily started noticing differences. Her Sweet 16 party costs more than some people's cars. A BMW in the driveway, professional catering, designer decorations. Everyone else got BMWs, Dad. This Honda is kind of embarrassing. That was 2015, the first time money became expected rather than appreciated. I should have recognized the warning sign. College expenses nearly bankrupted the business expansion I'd been planning. Northwestern University, Emily's dream school, required sacrifice that went beyond tuition. Sorority dues, spring break trips to Cancun, study abroad, programs in Italy each semester brought new financial demands. "Dad, I need $3,000 for the business fraternity trip. It's essential for networking." Phone calls became transaction requests. Visits home decreased to holidays only. When Emily did call, conversation lasted exactly long enough to explain why she needed money and how quickly she needed it transferred. Graduate school brought Michael into her life, old. Money, family connections, everything I couldn't provide. Despite decades of hard work. Emily started making comments about my appearance at family gatherings. "Could you maybe wear something other than those work boots? When you visit, Michael's friends will be there." The woman who once thanked me for bedtime stories was now embarrassed by the man who provided everything she'd ever wanted. Success in construction meant nothing to her new social circle. Building the company that funded her lifestyle made me unsuitable for her lifestyle. Last Christmas she'd introduced me to Michael's parents as Emily's father, who owns a small business. Small business, 25 years of building Clark Construction from nothing, employing 60 people, earning enough to support her princess lifestyle reduced to small business. "Dad, we need to talk about wedding funding. Michael's family has certain expectations for the ceremony, not, thank you for offering to pay. Not, we'd be grateful for your help." Just expectations, as if my life's work existed solely to meet her social requirements. The wedding planning meetings felt like business negotiations. Emily brought spreadsheets. Michael offered opinions about cost efficiency. Neither acknowledged that every line item represented months of my labor, flowers imported from Ecuador. Champagne that costs more per bottle than my workers earned per day. A dress worth more than most people's monthly rent. This isn't about money, Dad. It's about quality. Michael's family knows quality that my money bought. But my presence diminished. The very success that enabled their dream wedding made me too common to attend. My phone buzzed again, Emily's third attempt in 5 minutes. Through the venue windows, I could see her pacing wedding dress trailing behind her like a flag of surrender. 25 years of sacrifice had created this moment. Not a grateful daughter celebrating her father's generosity, but a desperate woman finally understanding what she'd lost. The irony was perfect. The love that had spoiled her would now teach her its true value. I reached for the phone. Time to answer. Engine hummed quietly as I pulled out of the parking lot, Emily's frantic silhouette shrinking in my rearview mirror. Her phone glowed like a beacon in the gathering dusk, calling me for the 7th time in 10 minutes. Each ring felt deliberate, controlled my timing, not hers. The drive home took 20 minutes through Spokane's Saturday evening traffic. 20 minutes of watching my phone light up with Emily's name. Each call more desperate than the last. By the time I reached my driveway, she'd left 4 voicemails that I listened to them while sitting in my garage, engine off, garage door closing behind me like a curtain falling on the day's first act. Voicemail 1, Dad, something's wrong with the payments. There's been a mistake, call me back immediately. Voicemail 2, this isn't funny anymore. The vendors are taking everything, people are staring. Just call me back. Voicemail 3, please, Dad, I don't understand what's happening. Michael's family is asking questions that I can't answer. Voicemail 4, her voice cracking. I need you, please pick up, please. The phone rang again as I finished the 4th message. Emily's name appeared on the screen accompanied by a photo from her college graduation, the last time she'd hugged me without needing money. First, I answered on the 5th ring, hello, Emily, Dad. Finally, what have you done? How could you destroy my wedding? Her voice carried pure panic. Now, none of the controlled dismissal from this afternoon. Good panic meant awareness. Awareness was the first step toward understanding. I didn't destroy anything that I said, keeping my voice level. I simply stopped paying for things. You can't just stop, this is my wedding day. There are 60 people here asking why the flowers are gone and why dinner service stopped. Where are you calling? From the hotel. We had to. The venue coordinator said we needed to settle the bills before we could stay, so they'd been asked to leave. That explained the echo in her voice, the absence of wedding music in the background. Emily, I need you to listen carefully. When was the last time you thanked me for anything? What, Dad? This isn't the time for lectures. I need you to call these vendors and fix this mess. Answer the question, when was the last time you expressed genuine gratitude for my financial support? Silence stretched between us in the background. I could hear Michael's voice sharp, with frustration. I don't remember specific instances, but I've always been grateful, you know that. Actually, I don't know that. What I know is that 3 hours ago you told me I didn't belong at your wedding, a wedding I paid for entirely. I didn't mean it like that. I was stressed. Wedding day nerves. Her voice shifted, taking on the wheedling tone she'd perfected in college when requesting money for spring break trips. Dad, please, I'll make this up to you. We can talk about everything later, but right now I need you to authorize the payments so we can save what's left of the reception. What's left? The cake is still here. Some guests are still here. The photographer is waiting to see if we can work something out. And what exactly do you plan to use for payment? Another pause, longer this time. I thought you would handle it. You always handle it. That I always have, that's true. Do you know how much I've spent on you over the past 25 years? Dad, please don't make me guess numbers. Right now I'm in crisis mode. Take a guess, rough estimate, I don't know, maybe 50,000. I almost laughed. 50,000 wouldn't have covered her sophomore year at Northwestern. Emily, I've spent over $300,000 on your education, housing, transportation and lifestyle since your mother died. That doesn't include what I spent today. The line went quiet, except for the sound of her breathing. 300. That can't be right. It's conservative. I have documentation for every expenditure. Why are you telling me this now? Because you've never asked in 25 years. You've never once inquired about the cost of your lifestyle or expressed concern about the burden it placed on me. Burden, I'm your daughter. Yes, you are, and I loved you enough to sacrifice everything for your happiness. The question is, what have you sacrificed for mine? Michael's voice grew louder in the background. She covered the phone for a moment, their muffled argument barely audible. Dad, Michael's family is really upset. They're asking questions about our finances. They want to know how we're going to pay for this. That's between you and your husband, but I don't have that kind of money. You know I don't. Then perhaps it's time you learn to earn it. The silence that followed lasted nearly 30 seconds. What do you want from me? I want you to understand what you threw away this afternoon when you dismissed the man who made your entire lifestyle possible. I understand now I was wrong. Can we fix this? We'll see. I'm reviewing our entire financial relationship. There will be documentation. We'll discuss this properly. When I'm ready, I ended the call and turned off my phone. Through my kitchen window I could see the lights of Spokane beginning to twinkle in the distance. Emily was somewhere out there facing her first night of financial independence. The education was just beginning. Warm light from my desk lamp cast familiar shadows across 25 years of meticulous record-keeping. Filing cabinets lined one wall of my home office like sentinels guarding secrets Emily had never bothered to ask about. Tonight, those secrets would finally serve their purpose. Coffee steamed beside my computer as I opened the first drawer labeled Emily Education 2020. Behind me, the house settled into evening quiet, but my mind buzzed with the systematic energy that had built Clark Construction from nothing into a 60-employee operation. This wasn't revenge, this was an audit. First folder, Riverside Academy. 12 years of private school tuition, each payment documented with bank transfers and semester reports. $8,000 per year in 2008, climbing to $12,000 by graduation. The math was sobering. $126,000 for elementary and high school education alone. I created a new spreadsheet, fingers moving automatically across the keyboard, column headers, date description, amount, category running, total 25 years of fatherhood, reduced to data points and formulas. Northwestern University folder came next, thicker than the others, bulging with dormitory contracts, meal plan agreements, study abroad program fees, tuition alone, $52,000 per year for 4 years. Room and board, another $15,000 annually. Spring break in Cancun, junior year, $3,500. Summer in Italy during her art history phase, $8,200. Essential for my education, Dad, she'd said about Italy. This is how people in my program network, page by page, receipt by receipt, the numbers climbed. Northwestern totaled $284,000. 4 years of college costs more than most people earned in 5 years of work. Transportation folder revealed its own patterns. First car at 16. Reliable Honda Civic for $18,000. Everyone else drives BMWs. She'd complained within 6 months. Second car at 19. BMW 320i for $28,000. Third car at 25. BMW X3, because Michael's friends drive luxury SUVs. Each car came with insurance premiums, maintenance costs and registration fees that Emily never saw. Hidden expenses that good fathers absorbed without comment. My phone buzzed. Emily's name appeared on the screen again. That I let it ring, adding another entry to my spreadsheet. Phone iPhone 14 Pro Max 12009. Technology living expenses folder contained the darkest surprises. Post-graduation apartment in Lincoln Park. $2,800 monthly rent for 3 years. Credit card payments when her spending exceeded the generous allowance I provided, averaging $100 monthly for 2 years. Designer clothing purchases. Spa treatments, vacation trips with friends whose parents funded similar lifestyles. The totals grew like compound interest. Education, $410,000. Transportation, $75,000. Housing support, $125,000. Personal expenses, $180,000. Wedding, $147,000. My calculator showed $937,000. Nearly $1 million spent gradually over 25 years, each expense seeming reasonable in isolation. Private school was an investment in her future. College opened doors. A reliable car ensured safety, nice clothes built confidence. The wedding celebrated love. But the pattern told a different story. Emily had never contributed a single dollar to her own support, never held a job longer than 6 months, never expressed concern about costs or gratitude for sacrifices. I opened the photo albums I'd maintained through her childhood. Emily at 8, gap-toothed and glowing after her first school play. Thank you for coming. Daddy, did you see how loud everyone clapped? Emily at 12, triumphant after winning the spelling bee. I thought about you when I was nervous and it helped me remember the words. When had she stopped seeing me as a person worth thanking? When had I become merely a source of funding for her ambitions? My phone rang again. Emily's 14th call since our conversation ended. This time she'd left a voicemail. Dad, please answer. I've been thinking about what you said. I know I haven't been grateful enough. I know I've taken you for granted. Michael's family is threatening to leave if we can't explain the financial situation. I need to know what you want from me. What I wanted was 25 years of appreciation that would never come. What I needed was assurance that Emily understood the value of what she'd casually dismissed. I printed the spreadsheet summary and organized the supporting documents into manila folders: education, transportation, housing, personal expenses, wedding costs. Each folder thick with evidence of love translated into dollars. Sacrifice measured in bank transfers. Tomorrow would bring conversations. Emily wasn't prepared for questions about responsibility, accountability, and the true cost of entitlement. Tonight was for preparation. The documentation spread across my desk like evidence in a courtroom case, nearly $1 million of support, provided it without question, appreciation, or acknowledgement. Emily had lived like royalty while treating her benefactor like hired help. That arrangement was about to change. My phone buzzed once more with Emily's name. I reached for it then stopped. Not yet. Let her understand what helplessness felt like. Let her taste the panic of financial dependence. Without guarantees, the education would continue in the morning. Sunday morning brought crisp March air and the kind of clarity that comes from thorough preparation. My briefcase sat by the front door, loaded with 25 years of documented evidence. Richards and Associates had agreed to an emergency consultation at 9:00 a.m. Professional courtesy between businessmen who understood that some situations couldn't wait for Monday. The law office felt appropriately serious: mahogany panels, legal volumes lining the walls, certificates documenting decades of successful practice. Margaret Richards herself met me in the conference room, her silver hair and sharp suit projecting the competence I needed. Mr. Clark, I've reviewed your preliminary documentation. This level of record-keeping is exceptional. She spread my folders across the polished table, scanning financial summaries with practiced efficiency. Each page represented months of Emily's lifestyle, funded by my sacrifice. The total amount involved nearly $1 million over 25 years. That's substantial even by our standards. I want this handled professionally, I said, settling into the leather chair across from her. No emotion, just business. Emily needs to understand the financial reality of what she's taken for granted. Margaret nodded, making notes on a yellow legal pad. The documentation supports either gift reclassification or promissory note establishment. Given the pattern of escalating demands without reciprocal responsibility, we have multiple recovery options. She outlined the strategy with surgical precision: formal demand letter requesting full repayment within 30 days, detailed accounting of all expenditures with supporting evidence, clear timeline for response and negotiation. Professional consequences for noncompliance. This approach transforms a family dispute into a business transaction much cleaner for everyone involved. By 11 a.m. the documents were prepared: official letterhead, formal language, serious implications. The demand was simple: $937,000 repayment within 30 days or legal proceedings would commence. We'll arrange courier delivery this afternoon. Signature required creating official record of receipt. I drove home with copies of everything. Satisfaction mixing with sadness for the necessity of such measures. Emily had created this situation through years of entitlement. I was simply providing the consequences she'd never faced. At exactly 2:15 p.m. my phone rang, the courier service confirming delivery to the Spokane Grand Hotel, room 1247. Signed receipt by Emily Clark Anderson. The formal process had begun. That I imagined Emily's confusion when the hotel desk called about a legal delivery. Her assumption it was vendor-related paperwork. Michael taking charge as the responsible husband, breaking the official seal with typical arrogance. Then reading comprehension dawning slowly, the phone started ringing at 2:47 p.m., Emily's name flashing repeatedly on my screen. I let each call go to voicemail, each message more desperate than the last. Message 1: Dad, what is this legal document? This can't be serious. Message 2: $900,000. That's impossible. You never said these were loans. Message 3: please call back. Michael's family is asking questions. I can't answer. Message 4, her voice breaking. I don't understand how everything went so wrong so fast. At the Grand Hotel, Emily and Michael were discovering what accountability looked like when, backed by legal authority, 25 years of gifts had been reclassified as recoverable debt. Their financial dependency was now documented, quantified and subject to collection procedures. The wedding disaster had been the opening act. This was the main performance. Margaret had explained the process clearly. Civil debt recovery follows standard procedures. They'll need legal representation to respond properly. That costs money they don't have for a debt they can't pay. Emily's frantic calls continued through the afternoon. 15 missed calls, 8 voicemails, each one revealing deeper understanding of her helplessness. The woman who dismissed me from her wedding was beginning to comprehend what she'd actually dismissed. The irony was perfect. Emily had spent 25 years taking my financial support for granted. Now she faced 30 days to repay it all with professional consequences for failure. My phone buzzed again. Emily's 16th call. This time I decided to answer. Dad, please, we need to talk about this reasonably. Emily's voice cracked through the phone speaker. Exhaustion replacing the panic from yesterday. This legal document, it can't be real. I settled into my kitchen chair, coffee steaming beside me through the window. Spokane's Sunday afternoon looked peaceful, families walking dogs, children riding bicycles, normal people living normal lives. The document is completely real, Emily, as are the 30 days you have to respond. But $900,000, that's impossible. You never said any of it was a loan. I never said it was a gift either. You simply assumed. In the background I could hear Michael's voice, sharp, with frustration, paper rustling, the sound of someone pacing. Emily, I need to understand something. I said, keeping my voice level. Who exactly do you plan to contact for help with this situation? Silence stretched between us. Then family, friends, people who care about me. I see. Well, you have 29 days remaining. I suggest you start making those calls. I ended the conversation and turned my phone to silent. Let Emily discover what I already knew, that nearly $1 million in debt would reveal exactly who was willing to help and who would politely decline. The phone lit up repeatedly throughout the afternoon, Emily's name appearing and disappearing on the screen like a distress signal. I let each call go unanswered, each voicemail unheard. By evening the calls had stopped. Monday morning brought a different kind of silence. No frantic messages from Emily, no desperate voicemails, just quiet. I drove to the construction site where we were breaking ground on a new office complex. Physical work had always helped me think clearly, the sound of machinery, the smell of fresh earth, the satisfaction of building something solid and permanent. My foreman, Dave, approached around 10 o'clock. Boss, you seem different today, everything okay? Family situation, I said, watching the excavator clear foundation space. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions for people's own good. Kids, something like that. My phone buzzed. Text message from Emily. Dad, I've been trying to reach family and friends, everyone is shocked by the amount. Please call me. I deleted the message without responding. Another text arrived an hour later. Aunt Margaret says she can't get involved. She thinks I should learn responsibility. What does that even mean? Then another Sarah won't take my calls anymore. Lisa is asking questions about why I never worked. People are treating me like I did something wrong. The messages continued through the afternoon, each one revealing Emily's growing isolation. Her college roommate was uncomfortable with the conversation. Her sorority sisters were surprised by the financial details. Her few remaining friends were unable to help with such amounts. Michael was having his own problems. His mother had apparently called 3 times demanding explanations. His father wanted a family meeting about reputation management. His brother was asking pointed questions about financial disclosure before marriage. By Tuesday, the pattern was clear. Emily's support network was collapsing under the weight of nearly $1 million in debt. People who had enjoyed her generous entertaining and expensive gifts were suddenly unavailable when she needed financial assistance. Wednesday brought a different message. Dad, Michael's family is pressuring him to consider annulment. They think our marriage was based on financial deception. Please call me so we can work this out. That I almost smiled. Michael's family was apparently faster at recognizing reality than their son had been. Thursday's message was shorter. Nobody will help. Everyone has excuses. Michael is barely speaking to me. His parents want him to see a lawyer about protecting his assets. I don't understand how everything changed so fast. 25 days remaining. Emily was learning what financial independence actually meant when you'd never developed the skills to achieve it. The education was proceeding exactly as planned. Friday morning's silence felt different. No text messages from Emily, no desperate voicemails, just an unusual quiet that made me check my phone twice to ensure it was working properly. The attack began Monday. My assistant, Rachel, knocked on my office door around 9 a.m., holding a printed email with obvious concern written across her face. Mr. Clark, I received this inquiry from Spokane Business Journal. They're asking about family troubles affecting your business operations. I read the email twice, professional language, masking pointed questions about my stability and treatment of family members. Someone had been making calls. Any idea how they heard about this? There's also this. Rachel handed me her tablet showing a Facebook post with over 200 shares. Emily's wedding photo, beautiful and radiant, followed by emotional text describing a heartless father who had destroyed her special day and was now demanding impossible financial payments as punishment. The post painted me as an unstable man taking revenge on his daughter for perceived slights. Hundreds of comments expressed shock and sympathy. Several tagged local business owners I'd worked with for decades. My phone rang. Bob Martinez from Martinez Concrete, a 20-year business partner. James, I'm seeing some concerning things online. People are saying you're having issues with your daughter's wedding expenses. Bob, there's documentation that tells a very different story. I hope so, because some folks are asking questions about your contracts with the city. You know how politics work around here. 3 more calls followed within an hour, all expressing concern, all asking careful questions about my mental state and business decisions. Emily and Michael had been busy. I found Michael's strategy easily enough. His family name opened doors in Spokane's social circles. Anderson family connections reached country clubs, charity boards and professional organizations where reputation mattered. They were using those connections to spread Emily's narrative of victimhood. The local Facebook groups buzzed with secondhand versions of the story. Construction company owner demands $450,000 from daughter after ruining her wedding. Spokane businessman sued own child for wedding expenses. Each retelling grew more dramatic, more damaging. By noon I'd received 7 business-related calls expressing concern. The Spokane Rotary Club president wondered about my state of mind regarding upcoming community projects. 3 separate contractors mentioned hearing things that might affect our working relationships. Emily and Michael had chosen their battlefield carefully. In a city like Spokane, reputation was currency. Destroy someone standing in the business community and you destroyed their livelihood. They'd miscalculated one crucial factor. I drove home and pulled out the documentation. Margaret Richards had helped me organize 25 years of financial records, categorized and summarized every check, every payment, every expense. Emily had never asked about or appreciated. Then I made my own calls. Margaret, I need to schedule a press conference for tomorrow morning. We're going public with the complete financial documentation. Are you certain? Once this information is public, there's no taking it back. Emily and Michael have made it public already. Now it's time for the truth. The next 6 hours were methodical preparation. I contacted the Spokane Business Journal directly, offering complete financial transparency. I called the 3 reporters. Emily's campaign had reached promising, documented evidence that would tell the real story. Most importantly, I contacted 25 years' worth of business partners, community leaders and professional associates. People who'd watched me build Clark Construction from nothing, people who'd seen my dedication to both business and family over decades. Dave, I'm calling everyone on our contractor list. There's going to be a story tomorrow that sets the record straight about Emily's situation. By evening I had confirmation Spokane Business Journal would run a feature story. Local news stations agreed to cover the press conference. The documentation was copied and ready for distribution. Emily's attack had lasted 3 days. My response would last one morning. The truth, properly documented and professionally presented, would speak louder than social media manipulation and emotional appeals. 24 days remaining on the legal deadline. By tomorrow afternoon, Emily would understand that destroying reputations was a game best played by people with actual substance to defend. Tuesday morning arrived with the precision of a construction schedule. At exactly 9 a.m. I published 25 years of financial documentation across every platform Emily and Michael had contaminated with their lies. The presentation was methodical, professional, undeniable bank statements showing $937,000 in payments over 25 years. Categorized spreadsheets breaking down education costs, transportation expenses, housing support and lifestyle funding, photographs of Emily at every stage of her pampered life. Each image matched to corresponding financial support. Complete transparency. 25 years of parental support documented. Read the headline I chosen below it, a comprehensive timeline showing Emily's progression from grateful child to entitled adult, with every dollar spent, documented and verified. The response was immediate. Within an hour my phone started ringing with different voices. Not concerned this time. Support, James. I had no idea about the scope of support you provided, said Tom Bradley from Bradley Electrical. My kids are in college and I'm spending maybe $15,000 a year total. You spent that much every semester. Bob Martinez called back. I owe you an apology. After seeing those bank records, I understand exactly what you're dealing with. That level of entitlement would break any parent. The social media momentum shifted like an avalanche in reverse. Comments that had supported Emily's victim narrative suddenly looked naive against the backdrop of financial reality. Screenshots of bank statements showing $52,000 annual college tuition payments, receipts for 3 different luxury cars, 28 years of housing, clothing and lifestyle expenses that most families would consider impossible to afford. Margaret Richards called at 11:00 m. James, the response has been extraordinary. The Spokane Business Journal wants to run a feature story about financial responsibility and entitlement. You've managed to turn a reputation attack into a community education moment. By noon. Emily's original Facebook post looked pathetic against the mountain of evidence I provided. People were sharing my documentation with comments like, "This is what real parental sacrifice looks like, and no wonder he's seeking repayment." This level of support is a full-time job. The Spokane construction community rallied completely. Contractors who'd questioned my stability were now sharing stories about my work, ethic, and integrity. The Rotary Club president issued a public statement supporting my position. Even the mayor's office released a comment about the importance of financial responsibility in family relationships. Dave texted me from the construction site. "Boss, the crew is talking about your situation. Everyone's behind you. Nobody can believe what Emily put you through." Local news stations picked up the story as a human interest piece about parental sacrifice and accountability. The documented evidence made their job easy. They simply had to present the facts and let viewers draw their own conclusions. Emily's attack had backfired spectacularly. Her portrayal of victimhood couldn't survive contact with 25 years of documented financial reality. The community that had briefly questioned my stability was now questioning hers. Michael's family connections worked against them. Now their social circle was seeing exactly what kind of people they'd welcomed into their network. Anderson family credibility was being used to spread lies about a respected businessman who had simply documented the truth. By evening, the narrative had completely reversed. Emily and Michael weren't victims of a cruel father, they were entitled individuals who had attacked a generous parent. When he finally set boundaries, the documentation told a story that emotional manipulation couldn't counter. Every bank statement was a chapter in 25 years of sacrifice. Every receipt was evidence of love that had been taken for granted. My phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Dad, please take down those financial records. People are saying terrible things about us." That I deleted the message without responding. 23 days remaining, the education was nearly complete. Michael's phone rang at 6:47 a.m. Wednesday morning, jolting both of us from uneasy sleep. The hotel room felt smaller with each passing hour filled with the weight of social media, catastrophe, and mounting financial pressure. "Michael, this is your father," the voice carried through the phone speaker with unmistakable authority. "We need to talk immediately." Emily watched Michael's face drain color as he listened to demands. She couldn't quite hear. His responses were clipped, defensive. "Yes, I understand the implications. No, I didn't know about the extent of documentation. The situation is more complicated than we anticipated." The conversation lasted 12 minutes. When Michael hung up, he stared at the phone for a long moment before speaking. "My family wants me home today." "Home, Michael. This is temporary. My father will calm down once Emily stop." His voice carried a finality she'd never heard before. "My father received calls yesterday from 3 different business partners asking about our family troubles. The country club is buzzing with gossip about the Anderson family's association with financial fraud. Financial fraud. That's ridiculous. This is a family dispute that got out of hand." Michael began pulling clothes from drawers, shoving them into his suitcase with sharp, angry movements. "Your father published bank records showing nearly $1 million in support you never acknowledged to my family's social circle. That looks like deception at best, manipulation at worst." Emily felt panic rising in her chest like ice water. "You're leaving that we just got married 6 days ago, 6 days that have destroyed my professional reputation and my family's standing in the community." Michael's packing grew more aggressive. "I have a trust fund. Emily. Business prospects a future that depends on maintaining certain relationships. What about our relationship? What about our marriage vows?" Michael stopped packing and looked at her directly for the first time since the phone call. "What marriage? You brought me into a financial disaster without warning. Your father is demanding almost $1 million in repayment and you have no way to pay it. My family lawyer says I need to protect myself from potential liability. Liability, I'm your wife. You're a financial burden with no assets and massive debt. The words hit Emily like physical blows. My family cannot afford to be associated with this level of scandal. Emily's phone, silent for days, suddenly buzzed with a text from Michael's mother. Emily, dear, Michael, needs to come home. Family obligations, you understand. The politeness made it worse. Somehow, even Michael's mother, who had praised Emily's grace and beauty at the wedding, was cutting ties with surgical precision. Michael, please, we can work through this together. My father is angry, but he loves me. This will blow over. Emily, look around. Michael gestured at her laptop, still open to devastating social media comments. This isn't blowing over. Your father published financial records going back 25 years. People are calling you a trust fund baby who never worked a day in her life. They're right. The accusation stung because it was accurate. Emily had never held a job longer than 6 months, had never contributed financially to her own support, had never questioned where her comfortable lifestyle originated. I was being a daughter. Daughters are supposed to be supported by their fathers, not to the tune of nearly $1 million over 25 years. Without any gratitude or reciprocation, Michael zipped his suitcase closed. My family runs in circles where people contribute to society. They build businesses, support charities, create value. What have you ever created besides expenses? Emily felt something breaking inside her chest, not just her marriage, but her understanding of herself and her place in the world. Where will I go? I don't have money for the hotel. My credit cards are maxed. Everyone has stopped talking to me. Michael paused at the door, his hand on the handle. Call your father, apologize, accept responsibility. Maybe he'll help you figure out how to become an actual adult. Michael, please don't leave me alone. Emily. I've been alone in this marriage since it started. You never contributed anything except expectations and expenses. His voice softened slightly. Maybe losing everything will teach you something. Your father's money never could. The door closed behind him with devastating finality. Emily stared at the hotel room that suddenly felt vast and empty. Her wedding dress still hung in the closet, reminder of 6 days that had destroyed her entire life. No husband, no family support, no friends, no money. For the first time in 28 years, Emily Clark Anderson was completely alone. She picked up her phone and scrolled to a number she hadn't called since that first desperate Saturday. Her father's contact information appeared on the screen like a lifeline. She wasn't sure she deserved to grasp 22 days remaining to find almost $1 million. She didn't have to rebuild relationships she'd destroyed to become someone she'd never been before. The phone rang once before a familiar voice answered. Hello, Emily. His voice carried none of the warmth I'd grown up with, but no cruelty either, just calm acknowledgement that his daughter was finally calling after losing everything. Dad, the word came out, broken barely above a whisper. I don't know where to start. Start with the truth. Do you understand what happened this week? I stared at the hotel room around me, at Michael's absence, at my laptop screen, still showing hundreds of comments condemning my behavior. The weight of 28 years of thoughtless entitlement crashed down like a collapsed building. I lost everything. My husband left me this morning. His family cut me off completely. That I don't have money for tonight's hotel bill. My voice cracked. Everyone hates me. Do you understand why? The question hung in the air like a challenge. For 28 years, I had blamed others for my problems, made excuses, found someone else responsible for every consequence. Not this time, because I treated you like a bank account instead of a person, because I never appreciated what you sacrificed for me, because I was selfish and entitled, and in cruel silence stretched between us that I could hear him breathing, considering my words. Go on. I saw the financial records you published, $900,000 over 25 years. I never asked where the money came from, never thanked you properly, never thought about what you were giving up to provide for me. Tears came freely, now the first genuine tears I'd cried since this began. I dismissed you from my own wedding, a wedding you paid for entirely. What else? I tried to destroy your reputation. When you stood up to me, I lied about you on social media. I got Michael's family to spread rumors about your character. The admissions felt like removing poison from an infected wound. I became everything wrong with spoiled children who never grow up. Emily, his voice softened slightly. Do you remember when you were 8 after your mother died, you hugged me every night and told me I was the best daddy in the world. I remember I wanted to give you everything because I loved you. But somewhere along the way, giving you everything became the reason you stopped loving me back. I never stopped loving you, Dad. I stopped showing it. That I stopped being grateful. I stopped being a daughter and became a consumer. What do you want from me now? The question terrified me because I understood it wasn't just about immediate help. It was about what kind of relationship we could have going forward. I want to earn your respect. I want to become the daughter you deserve to have. I want to learn how to be an adult who contributes instead of just taking. I wipe my eyes with the back of my hand, but first I need help surviving long enough to prove I can change. What kind of help? I need enough money to stay in the hotel for 1 more week while I find a job, any job. I need a chance to prove I can support myself. Emily, if I help you this time, there will be conditions. Anything. You'll find employment within 2 weeks. I don't care if it's cleaning offices or waiting tables. Pride is a luxury you can no longer afford. I understand no financial requests for 6 months. You prove you can live on what you earn. Yes, we'll talk once a week, but our conversations will be between 2 adults, not between a parent and dependent child. I want that. I want to earn the right to be your daughter again, Emily. I'm going to transfer $1,000 to your account. That covers this hotel for 1 week and basic groceries. After that, you're on your own, Dad. Thank you. I know I don't deserve your right. You don't deserve it, but everyone deserves one chance to grow up, even at 28. His voice carried both sternness and hope. Emily, I've always loved you, now I want to see if I can respect you too. I won't let you down, not again. We'll see. Love you, sweetheart. The call ended, but for the first time in a week I felt something other than despair. Not relief exactly, but possibility. The chance to become someone worth respecting. 21 days to prove I could change a lifetime to earn back what I'd thrown away. I opened my laptop and started searching for jobs in Spokane. Every entry-level position looked intimidating to someone who'd never really worked, but intimidating was better than impossible. For the first time in my life, I was going to earn something myself. The education was finally beginning. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.